We've done it. Started a new episode with no time jump. But ironically, this is the first episode where the pacing was off. Either a lot of scenes were cut to make it to that 16-minute mark, or maybe the goal for the writers to end off the season with a specific scene, and everything else had to adjust for it. A shame, because that meant Joffrey Lonmouth came and went in a matter of minutes. Joffrey's story getting rushed really means Rhaenyra's arc is getting rushed. We were just getting used to House of the Dragon expanding upon the lore books too, which are nothing like the main series novels. Supplementary lore books are written in the perspective of a maester, just dropping info on the most important events and skipping over what happens in between. Was hoping the bronze bitch, Rhea Royce, would get a little more time in the sun before her death, but like Joffrey, Rhea got less love than even the books. In both cases, circumstances surrounding their deaths are changed pretty drastically. There was no way Daemon was involved with his wife's death in the books, because he was still fighting in the Stepstones when she fell off her horse. Plus, she lingered on for 9 days, and when she finally thought she had the strength to leave her bed, Rhea only then collapsed and died. In those 9 days, she would have told someone Daemon had to do with it. Daemon only went to the Vale and tried and take the powerful House Royce's seat after receiving the news of the accident. Daemon has turned out to be much less of a great character in the prequel and more of a straight-up villain. All he ever seems to do is cause pain and suffering for everyone in his radius, and of course there won't be any justice served as much as Rhea's cousin will try. One full episode with Rhea and Joffrey would have been a lot smoother in my opinion, pacing-wise. Then next week we could have got the deaths. Maybe build a better motivation for the murder, because now Daemon's irredeemable. If you guys didn't know, we're moving on next week, and moving on hard. A 10-year time jump with a whole new cast for the younger characters. It wasn't a bad episode by any means. It's just a noticeable instance of working around television restraints, as freeing as HBO is compared to other networks. I like that we got to see the Velaryon's Island and Castle Driftmark, House Strong's development in court, and even a big budget flex showing Rhaenys' dragon flying alongside her sons on their way to King's Landing to participate at the wedding. But the best part of the episode was how they handled Alicent Hightower's character development. Like Larys Clubfoot, she's in the Game of Thrones now. With her father gone, she's replaced him as the Hightower in power at court, transforming into a full player. We see the full transformation this episode, that'll bridge this character to the Alicent we'll see next week. In the opening minutes, she's afraid, seeing her father removed from court, leaving her with no one to lean on. Then in her weakened state, being preyed upon by the pro player Larys Clubfoot. Larys successfully and easily planted some seeds of doubt into her mind about the whole Rhaenyra fiasco from the 4th episode. Though it may not have been her place to do so, Queen Alicent takes it upon herself to question the naive Kingsguard member, Criston Cole. And just like that, she has her first ally. Her Lord Uncle decides to make the trip from Old Town to King's Landing for the royal wedding. And this is where Alicent decides to make a display of her intentions of causing a rift in the realm. Her father warned her that her children would be in danger after King Viserys' body finally falls apart. And now she knows for a fact after the interrogation that Rhaenyra is reckless and can't be trusted. There was no hidden symbolism with that dress she stopped the wedding for. Larys, the walking exposition himself, made sure to let us know the Hightower's big lighthouse glows green when calling their banners for war. An idea that only excites her ambitious Lord Uncle, who we did finally get a name for, Hobart Hightower. Then the wedding celebrations kick off, and in Dothraki fashion, we get the death of Sir Joffrey Lonmouth by the bare hands of Criston Cole. Not a fine example of how to display your Kingsguard vows, defending the weak and all. The details of what led to the murder aren't shown to us, but enough hints were dropped that Criston was in a bad mental state, and Joffrey said one too many words to Kingsguard to throw him over the edge. Joffrey was easily able to spot who Rhaenyra's lover was amongst the wedding attendees. Laenor was made aware that Rhaenyra was playing at this dangerous game of a secret paramour. Laenor's relationship with Joffrey wasn't all that hidden from the realm. It was more of an open secret that even his parents were well aware of. Joffrey stupidly approaches Criston with the idea of them living amicably together, without knowing the falling out Rhaenyra had with her Sworn Shield. The idea of this random knight approaching him with his life's biggest dishonorable moment could have also broke him. It meant Rhaenyra was casually discussing with others how she turned him into a whore. Both Criston and Joffrey hail from noble houses in the Stormlands. We know Criston's family, House Cole, is a very minor house, as he's mentioned various times. But very little is known about House Lonmouth. There's literally only one known Lonmouth in the future Game of Thrones era. I would assume these two knights have had little to no contact with one another aside from basic knowledge of where they stand on the social ladder. Criston's murder is obviously a major overreaction, and he knew it. We did almost get a suicide scene before Alicent reminded the Kingsguard he has a purpose to fulfill before dying. The whole chaotic attack in the throne room is a major change from the books. In that version of the story, Criston killed him in the midst of a tourney melee. Whether that murder was accidental or not is up for readers to interpret. House of Dragon's version is a lot more dramatic. In the eyes of the Targaryens, and especially the Velaryons, Joffrey's death is a good thing. The less rumors and speculations, the easier it is for the royals to sit above everyone else, uncontested. Laenor being widely known to only be interested in men will be ammunition for enemies of the crown. But as long as Rhaenyra's heir can bond and fly atop of the dragons, no regular man can do shit about their infidelity. Well, I don't know if infidelity is the right word because they're both clearly cool with it. Rocky pacing, but there is yet to be a bad episode, though I do think last week's was way better and more captivating. What do you guys think of this week's drama explosion? And if you have any ridiculous differing theories on Criston Cole's attack, I'd love to hear it. Some time passed between the time Joffrey first approached Criston and the time of the attack, so it is possible Joffrey did some more antagonizing, or just Criston sitting on the sidelines alone, bubbling with anger till he snapped. Doesn't really matter either way. With a 10-year time jump coming, I don't think we'll delve deep into his reasoning. It seems clear to me consequences of his actions no longer mattered because his life lost all meaning. Alicent will restore his purpose and cover up the murder with any excuse, because she's the queen. The Kingsguard aren't above the law, but Alicent is. Thanks for watching, guys. See y'all in a few days.